God again, brothers. Arizona.
Hey, Arizona, right back.
I was born on 9/11, and one of the things that fascinates me, I don't know if you could speak about this, but I've been studying the occult a lot, all these Zionists or whatnot, and they love 9/11. Why is this? What's so special about those numbers to them?
Right, because if you really go into it, you see that it was a time where they had to, I put it this way, get rid of a lot of evidence. Because those buildings stored a lot of information. It was like a reset, a
Yeah.
restart, and like, yeah. So it was, as many people have debunked and shown, that the way the buildings came down, it was detonation. It wasn't like what was said to be. There was a lot of, many people have kind of really looked into it. So when you start to look at, the reset, which is now leading into, you know, between now and 20, they've got the agenda, is it 2025, and certain things that they want to implement and basically start over again. So Zionist, when you say Zionist, that word Zion relates to the word Zuen, yeah? And Zuen is, it's the, this is what I'm saying, that they make evil fair seeming, and you get people that think Zion is dealing with righteousness, because you hear all those reggae songs about going back to Zion and and dealing
What
with,
is doing?
Zuen is the equivalent, or the Sumerian rendition of what people call the devil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that ties into, as I said, Zion, and then you got the books like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion,
Oh, yeah.
dealing with Zionists, and when you start to look at who these are, you're dealing with people like Albert Pike, Eisen Whitesock, who
Alistair Crawley.
Alistair Crawley. We have a book, actual fact, called History, his story, that goes into the occult, as you were saying, and the master teachers put out books like the Luciferian Conspiracy many years ago, Leviathan, that go deep into,
Yeah, I ordered the Leviathan books off of Amazon. I'm still waiting for
okay, yeah, when
them. Yeah,
you
I just ordered them. I can't wait.
when you get those, man, different reality that you're gonna be in. So, they also, it's dealing with sacrifices, and when you start to look at, even throughout the music industry, the Hollywood and all of that, there's a lot of talk about sacrifices to appease certain entities and beings that that feed off of that chaos or that destructive energy. And this is where this whole, like, things like the Bohemian Grove with the owl, and certain rituals and certain things are done based on cycles, and to appease certain beings that will give them power, will keep them in rulership. And it's funny, the master teacher in the books from years ago, I can't remember which one it was talking about, the Twin Towers, and I think it's even in those Leviathan books.
Year 2000 and What to
The
Expect.
year 2000, What to
Yeah.
Expect, So, yeah, a lot of predictions that the master put in the books many, many years ago have actually, come to pass. So I hope that's giving you some help.
Yeah, it's um. So, at one point, when did the transition happen from the Anunnaki doing their egotistical stuff here and being portrayed as gods when they weren't, and these deities coming into power?
Which deity is coming into power?
So, like, the ones that the Zionists like worship and all that. Like, I don't really want to say their
Oh
names.
yeah. So I mean, you're talking about, this is the 6,000 years ago. This is what we're saying, that with the birth of religion, because their overlords, the Pleiadians, remember that people like, George Washington. If you look at his lifestyle, and where you look at what they call the obelisk in Washington and see where it's pointing to the stars. This ties into what I was saying about Nimrod with the antenna. That obelisk in Washington, it points to the star constellation of the Pleiades. And the Pleiades are those overlords that they were feeding and giving them their power. It's the same Pleiades that were responsible from Aldebaran, etc., for creating religion, to control the masses and the people, to feed that energy to these beings. So yeah, that's when we're saying that, like, they chose Abraham as their man with the Anunnaki to enforce the spell of religion. And so that's really where it started from. But because remember that prior to that 6,000 years, we were in the sun cycle. And the moon cycle started 6,000 years ago and ended in the year 2000 AD. So during that time is when a lot of people were put under the spell. And, religions became very prominent. And then after the master coming in 1970, starting to break the spell and prepare people for 1999, where 1999 was the end or the countdown to the year 2000 for the end of
Devil's rule.
Yeah, so remember that the devil came, what they call, out of the pit in 1966. So when you look at that book again called History, you're talking about beings like Anton Levy or Anton Levy, who was head of that's when the Church of Satan came about.
Wow.
And that was sanctioned by the then president, known as Ronald Wilson Reagan.
Yeah.
And you look into, so from 1966, look at the 666, which then ends in the 999 of 1999. Then bringing in the year 2000, which is the sun cycle, to bring in this new paradigm that we're living in called the sun cycle, with the master teacher coming with healing in his wings to break the spell of Leviathan, Kingu, and the very many renditions that these beings that are the brotherhood of the
Snake, Bohemian.
Yeah, the Order of the White Lodge. And they're the ones that, for the last 6,000 years, with the help of their overlords, the Pleiadians, have basically been controlling and running things up until our time, which is, now.
So then with Yeshua, or Yahshua, I don't know his real name specifically, but at least the oldest that I found is Yeshua. From the Gnostic text, because I don't go off of mainstream or whatnot, I keep on digging. I go by DNA and science or whatnot. Like, try to find the truth as much as I can. But his message, and where I'm going with this is maybe the master teacher maybe said something about it, but was the opposite of what religion is today, and the fact that he came here and he didn't just come here alone, but he actually came here with the divine feminine incarnate of Sophie Christ, or as the Bible has degraded her as Mary Magdalene, but saying you don't need these religions and trying to wake people up, saying the opposite of these religions. And then how, like, John the Baptist with the Essene organization, and then how supposedly Yeshua helped with that because it was supporting the divine feminine as well, along with, the divine masculine. But it kind of reminded me when you were talking with the lady about, the divine feminine and how women are waking up right now, because it's so powerful. Because I completely agree with you on, we gotta support them more,
That's right. There's been a concentrated effort on the feminine.
Yeah. And I feel like the reason is because they know how powerful the divine feminine truly is. Like, when a lot of people, they may start feeling like, they're yearning for a woman, or a woman could be yearning for a man, and they kind of go down, the wrong path in a way, whatever, like being too physical or something.
Yeah.
It's because they don't understand. They're not conscious yet of understanding they just want that opposite of that masculine divinity, or the man wants that opposite of that feminine divinity, and they take
Right.
it as, you know, in this physical world as, oh, I just want sex, and it's not like that. It's like you have to, if you follow your path, you see that from what I'm being able to understand, we're just seeking that opposite so we can become more balanced from it.
To become one, yes. And the master teacher Pana Bab Yanuna has put out a book called The Lotus of Life on the Sacred Feminine, which is essential for both males and female, because you need the two side, left and right brain. And the technology is to have the feminine suppressed to the point where, because remember the female is the nurturer in the house.
That's right.
So she deals with all the children. So if you get her, you get the entire family.
Yeah.
You see, so yeah, so he put out this new scroll called The Lotus of Life on the Sacred Feminine, because when you read that, it explains how both sides, the male has to support the Sacred Feminine so that she can be activated, and then she activates him, and then they both come together as one, using both left and right hemispheres of the brain to be, yeah, there you go, the Lotus of Life. This is called the Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine, the Lotus of Life, and that's Actual Fact, series number 23. Yeah, you have to definitely read that, because, yeah, and even the whole story, they try to not talk about the woman in religion, especially Christianity, because they deal with God the Father, then the Son, and then instead of the female, they just ignore her and go to the Holy Ghost. But the God the Father and God the Son come from God the woman. So it's like it doesn't make sense. So we have an actual fact called quality that goes into the quality, because you need the female, put her in the rightful position, which is the first on top, because then she gave birth to the male. So the X chromosome gives the XY, because the Y is a defective X. So they tried to suppress the woman, and in religion, the woman was kept backwards. You know, all the priests, the imams, the rabbis, the presidents, prime ministers, all men. And this is why the state of the world is in the way it is. And that's because when you look at the Greeks and the Romans, they were really homosexuals predominantly, and they didn't really promote the female. You go back to ancient Egypt, and we ruled side by side. You always had both male and female ruling together, you see. So a lot of this technology is turning everything back to front, and we are now reversing it to the correct way and putting back things in order, putting the jigsaw puzzle back together so that you're not confused in your mind. But we had a few callers trying to get through. We've been on the phone a little bit, so let me, let's take those calls. So we still have a lot of questions in the chat, but I appreciate your call as always.
Always. How do you say love in Wu-Sabat?
Ashuk.
Ashuk.
Yeah, you pronounced it perfectly just then, yes. Tour.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Antakatirafu.